Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
Aloha. Akakiaka. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start rolling shortly here. Just waiting for a few more people to join us here, and then we'll get started. And thank you again for joining day 2. All right.
If you folks are already in, can you open up your chat and just give us an aloha there? Just make sure everybody is able to chat. There we go. We got one. All right, perfect. Thank you. All right. So all right, everybody keep all that. You got the flower. Okay. Okay, great. Chat's going to be important during this presentation. That's great. Thank you so much.
All right.
Aloha.
We're gonna get we'll have Michael Fry do an introduction this morning, and Michael.
Well, good morning. I'll be brief. I just wanted to say welcome to day 2, as Ed said, of the MLS Tech Summit. I think we have an exciting day planned for you, or the next hour or so, with Matt Darnell, a good friend of mine, hailing from the windward side. So I'm excited to hear what he has to say, but really want to turn it over to Jen Sakamoto. Jen and Ed have been instrumental in pulling this together. I think it's a great bit of content for you, and I encourage you to tune in tomorrow as well and catch the rest of it, when we have Nathan Ipa coming on to give you kind of the legal aspect of security in this digital age that we find ourselves. So Jen, take it away.
Thank you. So again, guys, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Today's presentation is going to provide you details on wire fraud, email scams, and those things that are on the rise. And we're going to talk about the top 10 data privacy safety tips to make sure you're doing the most to secure your data and your clients' data. So today we have Matt Darnell, who is our speaker. He enjoys taking businesses to new heights with cloud-enabled products and services. When he's not creating unique, secure, and innovative services for his clients, he's coaching his keiki and giving back to the community, or spending time with his ohana on Kaneohe Bay. So just like Michael said, just some things to talk about before we get started. As questions come up, please feel free, like Matt said, put those in the chat. Those questions we are going to save to the end so Matt can continue with his presentation, but I will go ahead and ask those questions live for you guys for Matt to answer. And then from there, the session is going to be recorded, so please expect an email from Outreach at High Central MLS with a copy of that video for you as well. And the other thing, please make sure to stick around to the very end of the session. We are going to be doing a door prize of a $50 Best Buy gift card. Ed, do you want to show that off for us?
Yes, be excited. Look at this gift card.
So, it even says congrats.
So yes. Who's eligible for that, Ed?
What's that?
I was wondering if we're all eligible, the hosts.
Oh, the host. Oh, well, sorry about that.
No? Okay.
No.
It's for anybody who's still here as a registered attendee, unfortunately, yes. Matt. But again, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to pass it over to you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I was actually delivered. This is still delivered a lei yesterday. So I will do a virtual lei ceremony here. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So we got that done, and certainly want to give a big shout out to those 3 folks. Michael, Jen, and Ed. Michael, the director of MLS. Jen is the client success specialist. Ed is the client success manager there, and they do so much great stuff. I mean, they're always there working hard for you folks. And they gave me a lot more things to say about them, but I'll go ahead and skip that part there, and let's go ahead and get going with our presentation. Okay, Jen, can you confirm that you're able to see the presentation?
Yep, you are all good to go.
Okay, so 10 things every realtor needs to do to be securing your business. Okay, so this is the kind of be a theme we go throughout. That are you buckled up? And I think throughout my life, I'm over 50, in my life, I don't think I've ever actually needed the seatbelt. I've been in a few fender benders, but they were low speed, but I still buckle up. And security is a lot like that. It's not every day that you need to be doing these things. And sometimes people can get kind of complacent, but you never, the problem is you never know when you're going to need to do that. So a lot of these things are just putting on your seatbelt. It's just you make it a habit. It's something you do. You don't think about it. It's not a consideration. Like when anybody gets in my car that I'm driving, we put on the seatbelt. I'm hoping we never need it, but we're going to do that every time. So are you buckled up? Okay, so who am I? I've been in IT for over 25 years, a long time. I attended Cullowhale High School here on the windward side. You know, I own a local IT company, and back in the day, you know, kind of before electricity, my mother was a realtor at a place called Conley Dew a long, long time ago. And this was kind of a recent hike I did with my family. And the person between my wife and I is actually my eighth grader. Well, soon to be ninth grader. He's going to be relatively tall. I'm actually taller than him. I'm down a little bit there, but he's going to pass me here soon. So definitely have that there. So what we want to do here is let's talk about the problem a little bit. What is the problem we're doing? Then we're going to talk about 5 things for your personal devices and 5 things for your laptops and computers. And one thing that makes it a little complicated for you end user is these personal devices and these laptops and computers. They used to be, you know, 10 years ago, they were very different things. You had maybe a flip phone, you could, you know, we call T9 text on it and do those kind of things. And you had your laptop. Now it's harder and harder to differentiate. Like you could argue that an iPad Pro is a laptop, or you could call it a tablet, or you could call it a personal device. You know, there's that line separating them is getting narrow and narrower and narrower, where you can't, you know, hard to tell the difference. And because they said you're a really good group, we're going to give you a bonus 5 things that apply everywhere. That's something you need to be doing on every kind of device. Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to break out our chat here, and we'll do that here. So what's going to happen is we're going to give a reading comprehension test. They said that you folks were really, so we want to go ahead and do that here. So I'm going to put up a screen here. There's no tricks, nothing spooky or special or changing letters. I just like you to count the occurrences of the letter F, whether it's uppercase F or lowercase f. And you'll have 10 seconds to read the slide, and then go ahead in the chat, put in there how many Fs you were able to count. And then you'll have 10 seconds, and I'll count that down so you know how much time. And just so we know, there'll be a couple, this is one kind of thing we'll do here. We'll email you, if you're the first one to get it right, we'll email you a $25 Starbucks gift card. And we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. So, okay, I'm going to do the next slide here, and then let's go ahead and count the Fs there. Okay, so 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, a bonus second. Okay, so go ahead and throw that in the chat there. Okay, I see 14, 19, 11, 15, was that 24, 16, 14, 17? Wow, kind of a wide ranging there. 16, 12, 2 capitalized, 15 lowers. Okay, so you know, perhaps I jumped the gun here. So just so we're on the same page, this is what we're looking for. The capital F, you know, kind of has the long line and the little letters coming out, and then the lowercase one is kind of curved there. All right, so those are the letters that we're looking at. So we're going to try this one more time. Same exact slide. I'll even give you 5 more seconds here. So here we go. You ready? Let's try it again, and then let's throw the answer. What answers we get there? So take your time. 5 extra seconds. I won't even count out loud. I know that can kind of give some pressure. Here we go. One. Okay, go ahead and throw those in the chat there. of how many Fs you saw? Okay, and I promise those were the same slides both times. And when you look at the recording, you'll see that. Okay, so I did see a few of the right answers there, and so let's go ahead and take a look at that. So the answer is 18. There are 18 Fs in this, and you can see that there. And generally, when I show this to people, if the first ones that they forget are the F in of, because when you're reading that quickly, that's not a hard F. It sounds like a V, so you don't count those ofs. So the most common answer we see is 14 because they skip all of the ofs there, or actually 13 there. There's 5 ofs. So the answer is 18, but that's just an example of don't believe your eyes. Just because you read something, especially when we're all so busy, we got so much to do, we're reading through something, we can't just believe our eyes. We want to stop, we want to slow down, we want to think about something and go from there. So Jen, she's the one. Oh, it says my screen was covering a word at the top. That's no fair. Joe, oh, what was it happening, Jen?
No, it was good on my end. It might be the end user, depending on how big their screen is for them.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
But we do have a winner.
Okay. All right.
Jamie Apuna is the winner. So congratulations to the first winner. Don't worry, guys. I didn't get it right either time. I was completely wrong both times. So don't even worry. Absolutely.
And I apologize if the screen was covering some there. So let me try to minimize this as much as possible. But so what's the most vulnerable part of your technology? And that's something that we always want to talk about, something we always want to realize. And I'm going to point my finger at the virtual finger at the most vulnerable part of the technology. And this is something I put on the front of every security talk that I give, just because when all the technology fails, when it comes down to the human, we're counting on you to be able to figure out, should I do this? Is this problem? Is this from a scammer? And have that there. So you always need to be on your guard. If you've ever been around the construction industry, every day they talk about safety. There's signs everywhere. The last work, the day lost from safety incident was this day or that day. They're always talking about, safety doesn't happen by accident. Well, security doesn't happen by accident. So we're really counting on you, training you to figure that out there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the problem. And you probably heard some of these words thrown around in the media. And what does it mean? So when something's compromised, that means the information stays within your network. That might mean that something called a BitLocker, and unfortunately I'm sure we all heard about those pipelines that were all of their accounting data was encrypted, and they had to pay $5 million to get it back. I mean, all the best and the brightest from the United States went there, from the FBI to the NSA to all Silicon Valley, and they couldn't break the encryption. They had to pay $5 million. That's why the gas prices really shot up on the mainland, had that. So that's when data is compromised. When a system is breached, that means the data, they've taken your data off. Like if you remember Equifax, when all that data went there, and those two seem kind of similar, but compromised is relatively not that bad compared to breach. These are both horrible, but compromised would mean, if I put it in a car analogy, you back into another car in a parking lot. That's bad, accident. You can still get injured at 5 miles an hour, where a breach is a head-on collision on H1 at 60 miles, both cars going 60 miles an hour, right? So they're both bad, but breached that's when you get on the news. That's when we're going to talk about some of the things that have to happen there. So so when you hear those definitions on that's what they mean. And what are these hackers trying to do? What are their goals? They want to get your data and actually get you to pay for it back or monetize your data somewhat, whether that's through scams, whether that's through selling it on, we've all heard of the dark web, selling your information on the dark web. So those are their goals. And again, whenever those things, whenever the technology fails to stop them, we're counting on you. You're the last line of defense. If you're going to click the link, if you're going to input that data, if you're going to do these kind of things we're talking about, you are the last line of defense. Okay, so let's go ahead. Can you throw up that first poll question, please? Okay, there we go. So are realtors too small? And then that would be by professional cyber criminals. And believe me, these are not people living in the basement of their parents' house doing this for fun on the weekends. These are organized, true professionals. So are you, as an individual realtor, are you too small on the map? I mean, do they even look at folks like you to be targeted? So yes, no, or maybe.
So they're still answering. I'm just going to give it a
Okay.
little bit longer.
Thank you. Yeah, because that's a real big question. I mean, it's if what do you truly feel in your heart that do you need to worry about this kind of things when being a realtor?
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the polling now.
Okay, if you could share it, please. No, okay, that's great to have that. So the four of you that answered yes, I'm hoping after today's presentation will get you definitely on the no side, and the maybes, we want to shift you up there to no as well. So that we have 100% that no, because you truly are not too small to be targeted by professional cyber criminals. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go ahead and move on there. So let's talk about what is the problem. So this is something put out every year. If you just were to search FBI Internet Crime Report 2020, the 2021 has not come out yet. They won't come out till next year. But so all this data is from the FBI. This is not something that was made up that we got. So a very good source to have there. And it's a multiple page document. I just kind of grabbed some things here. So let's talk about their complaints over the last 5 years. You can see in 2016 there was less than 300,000. In 2020 there was almost 800,000 complaints there. And if you look at the money in losses, from $1.5 billion to 4.2 billion. So this problem, it is not getting worse. I mean, excuse me, it's not getting better. It's absolutely getting worse. And look at the difference between 2019 and 2020. That's a huge difference in the amount of complaints they got just in this last year. And with COVID, this next year, I'd be surprised if it wasn't over 1 million with all the COVID scams and unemployment scams that people had with there. So a lot of complaints. So this problem, again, it's kind of like email spam. 20 years ago when I first got my email account, you maybe get one a day, but man, when you look at spam today, it's horrible. I get hundreds a day for that. So this is an issue that's ramped up. So 2,000 a day, a lot of complaints. This is a really big issue there. So when you look at the victims by age group across the country, you could see, with the kind of folks that you deal with as a realtor, you're probably in that 40 to over 60, and that's by far the most amount of victims. Some people in their 30s would maybe buy a property. Not that many people in their 20s would be buying a home, especially not here in Hawaii with the prices we have there. So you could see that your clientele are the most vulnerable to this kind of fraud there. And when you look at that by victim count, so look down. So real estate rental, there was 13,000. So my goodness, 13,000 times there was fraud in the real estate rental part. So that's a huge, huge number. If you look at the very top, the fishing, vishing, smishing, and farming, some of you might have been in one of my talks. That's the main talk that I'm asked to give about phishing, and you can see why. Look at how huge that number is there. So if you have a group and I haven't given you the dedicated talk on phishing, feel free to reach out. Don't charge anything, don't sell anything. It's just something that I give back to the community there. But look at the real estate rental. So we have that there. But when you look at, so we're down maybe 10, 11, 15 spots. But when you look at the amount of money, look how it jumps up so high. Why is that? Because you folks are dealing with so much money every transaction. So even though when I go back a slide, we're way down there on the number of instances, but the amount is really high. So we need to be on our guard. And again, they're not silly. They understand that. They know that if they can do a scam on you or one of your clients, then that's a lot of money there. So we always got to be on our guard. Okay. And we have that by victim loss there again, $213 million lost to scams in 2020. Okay, so by state, Hawaii is the 38th. Okay, so that's how much we've lost by state. So everybody open up your chat again. And so we're 38th by in the victim loss. Where are we as far as in population? Just put that in there. Are we have the highest population? Are we number one? Are we 50? Again, the first one to get it right there, according to the 2020 census. Where are we there as far as population goes in the US? Okay, so we'll let that go a little bit. The 2020 census. Okay, I've seen some ones close, not quite close, but no cigar. Oh, another one close. Oh, another one close. Boy, you guys are so close and oh, close. All right, so not per square mile or that type of thing, but just total amount of population. Gosh, Jennifer, I don't know if I'm not seeing that, but I haven't seen that yet. So we'll take a look at that later. Our number from what I saw in the 2020 census, we were number 41. I saw a bunch of 42s and 40s, but maybe I missed it. Jen, did I miss 41?
No, nobody you got 41. There was 40 and 42, but not 41.
That was kind of so even though we are 41st in population, the total loss, is higher than that, again, because the amount of money that we're dealing with here in Hawaii is just higher. So we are certainly a target just because of the cost of housing and have that there. So we always got to be on our guard. Okay, so now let's talk about personal tech here. And personal tech is, I define that now as something you take with you all the time. Meaning we don't usually take our laptop. We wouldn't take that to the beach. We wouldn't take that on a hike, but we are going to take our cell phone, maybe a small iPad, an iTouch, something that we have with us all the time. We can do work on personal tech, but something we have with us all the time. So if we can throw up that second poll question, please, just so we can kind of get a flavor of where everybody is with that. So are you kind of in the Apple ecosystem, meaning you got iPhone, iPad, MacBook Pro? Do you have maybe an Android phone, a Windows laptop, or are you chop suey? Are you everywhere? You've got an iPhone, a Samsung watch, an Apple laptop, and a PC computer. So, like I personally, I'm chop suey. I've got a little bit of everything. I'm not solely in one or the other. So I would answer a mix of everything. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just trying to get a feel for where people are here.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the polling and share the results.
Okay, that's this is common with what I see there, that they're all relatively even there. I mean, 10 years ago, the middle line would have been 98%, but definitely that chop suey like I am, and the Apple staying in that ecosystem is definitely taking over for having that there. Okay, thank you very much for that information. That's very helpful. Okay, so let's talk about first thing. So first thing, the most important thing you can do on your personal devices is update them always. And whether it's whenever you get that from your operating system, whether it's on the iPad, whether it's on your Android phone, when they say they have an update for you, you absolutely want to go ahead and do that. Those updates, they don't do for fun. There's always something really wrong that needs to be corrected. So you want to update always and have that there. Two is avoid public Wi-Fi. I know it's so easy when you go into Starbucks and just jump on their Wi-Fi, but you really never know whose Wi-Fi it is. It might be, I have the technology that I could go into a Starbucks, cancel out their Wi-Fi, give you my Wi-Fi, and it looks exactly the same. And when you do that, I'm looking at all of your data. I'm decrypting everything that you have there. So unless it's a trusted source, like you're at someone's house and they give you their Wi-Fi, you know them. But I never connect to a public Wi-Fi just out there, because you think just because it says Starbucks, that doesn't mean it's Starbucks Wi-Fi having that there. So avoid public Wi-Fi. If you have a need where you want to use your laptop, the two great solutions when you're out on the road is, one, you can pay a little bit more and get a hotspot plan for your phone, where you can share, your phone, your laptop would connect to your phone, and then use your phone's internet connection to get out to the world. Or you can buy a dedicated hotspot. And I know a lot of teams that have those, because usually you can have up to 5 computers connect to one hotspot. They just slap that down right in the middle of the table and everybody connects into there, and then you have that there. And it's probably $10 or $15 a month. Compared to the risk that you're taking using a public Wi-Fi, $10 or $15 a month is really a small amount to do that. Use a passcode on your phone. Now, passcode is not Touch ID and is not Face Unlock. Okay, the big problem with those are, this is probably the part of the presentation I like the least. And this is like one reason I could never sell life insurance, because you got to talk about bad things. When talk about when people die, I just could never do that for a living. I mean, God bless life insurance salesmen. I have life insurance; it's very important, but I personally couldn't do that. So what's happening on the mainland, and what we see here, you hear about all these violent crime that's upticking, is when they see someone that does a face unlock, they'll literally hit them over the head, and then just hold your phone in front of your face, even though you're unconscious. They'll unlock it there. They can use your finger, again, you're unconscious, and go ahead and put your finger on your phone, unlock it, and have full access to everything you have on your phone. None of your data is there. So I never recommend using Touch ID or using Face ID to unlock your phone. Always use a passcode for there on your phone. Okay, so remember earlier I said it's okay to do work on your personal device, but never save work data on your personal device. That means if you have a loan application, or if you have something, client banking information, never save that on your personal device. It's okay to view it in your email, but never save that there on your personal device, because again, all these things we talked about, you never know what's going to happen with that. So if you have work data, don't save it there on your personal device. Okay, and is your device encrypted? And encrypted is different from having a password. Both iPhones and Android, like when my phone turns on, when it turns on, you have to enter a code to be able to start the phone. It won't even start until you put in that code, and that code is different from my login screen. And this is where some people start going, yeah, okay, whatever. You know, Matt, you got the tin hat on and the tinfoil hat, and you know, you're scared of everything. But again, it's not just your data, it's all of your client data that you have on there. So again, you want to have that encrypted. So if someone was to take, you know, if you had something with an SD card out, they take the SD card, you know, the little memory card out of my phone, they plug it into a computer, it's worthless. Again, because everything on my device is encrypted. Okay, so now let's talk about computer safety. Computer means, you know, could mean iPad Pro, it could mean a laptop, it could mean, you know, a Windows computer, you know, your desktop there. Okay, update always, right? You know, whether it's Mac, whether it's Windows. And there are people that I talk to about this, and even people in the IT world, they said, I always wait a month. I want to know if there's going to be problems, because 10 years ago I did an upgrade and oh man, it you know, ruined my machine. Well, that's true. That does happen. But if you look at the numbers, if you look at the statistics, the chances of risks from not updating vastly outweigh the chances of an update hurting your computer. You're much more vulnerable by not doing an update than you are by doing an update when it first comes out there. So definitely you want to update. You want to update always all of your devices. Okay. And another thing, this is something everybody should do. Make it a goal this week, even better this day. Identify what personally identifiable information is stored on your computer. Okay, and hopefully the answer is nothing, but you really go through what's on your desktop, what's in your downloads, what's in your documents, what do you have there, what kind of information. I mean, do you have a scan from an earnest money check from 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago? I mean, what you have wiring information? Is it stored? Meaning that without looking into your email, if I was just to look at the files on your computer, what kind of PII could I get for that? That's a huge thing that you want to do that. And absolutely electronically shred anything that is there. You should never store anything just natively there on your computer and have that and know that and know what your policy is. So definitely that should be a goal for everybody. Go through all your devices, figure out what PII you have there on your computer and get rid of it. Okay, so here we have this is another thing here. So everybody look at this picture. I mean, I always like Cookie Monster, but I mean, look at the size of me. I love cookies. But go ahead, let's take a look at that. Look at that picture and tell me what is wrong. There's something that's absolutely wrong with this slide here. And tell me what is wrong. Go ahead and put that. If you see what's wrong, put that in the chat there. Go ahead and put that in the chat. Okay, it's kind of blurry. Knives in the back. Okay, those are great, but and that's true. I mean, there's a knife. There are knives in the background. That's very, and hey and Cynthia, very very perceptive. But there's something else that is either, you know, look in the whole screen there. Okay, and Brandis, absolutely, that's huge. Let me go ahead and go a little bit closer there. You see the middle line there? Look at the middle M there, where it says Cookie Monster says, The middle M is not an M. It's actually MRNM. Okay. And have that there. So yeah, so definitely Starbucks card going to you, Brandis there. But if I go back to the original one there, that's social. That's a basic social engineering. I showed you something. There was kind of a pattern, something you expected to see. And again, this is just like the F's. We can't trust our eyes, right? And you now that it's kind of like Waldo. Now that you see it, it's obvious. But when they show you a nice picture of Cookie Monster with cookies flying everywhere, and I didn't even notice the knives in the background, but you know, you see that there. So that's an example of we can't just believe our eyes. There are tricks everywhere. like RN. We just saw. Then when you look at this slide, you go, "There's no way I would mistake an RN for an M," but right, that just happened. CL looks like D, and all these common things. This is one way that scammers get you to think you're clicking on one link, but you're actually clicking on something else. So we cannot just believe our eyes when we see that. Okay, so email, SMS security, and this is the phishing talk that I give and the smishing and those that's a 30, 45 minute call. This is just one kind of real condensed version, but basically always be worried whenever asked for something. Make something information. Always be wary, be curious, wonder why they did that, and you never need to send any of those things in the email and have that there. So, and again, remember that other thing we saw where phishing and smishing, that was number one with a bullet at the very top. That was this right here. Always be wary whenever someone's asking you, even if someone that you know. Okay. So now advertise and practice safety. Okay. You need to educate your clients about these scams. And again, I don't know if you have it there, but a lot of times you have your broker will give you something to give your clients where they sign something saying, hey, this wire fraud is a huge, $13 million and rising every day. And in your if you go to the NAR site and just search for wire fraud notice in your email signature, you'll find it right there. I have an example of that right there. In every email you send out, we'll talk about that, and they need to be trained on those things. So, and this is right from the NAR website that they suggest you put this in the signature of every email that you send out. And I agree with every single word in this here. That especially with folks, the responsibility you folks have is tremendous. 99% of the people you deal with, this is the largest transaction they're ever going to make in their entire life. And you have a great responsibility to shepherd them through this process. And I know none of you take it lightly, but this is just another example of you can have that. And you can search again, if you find this is directly from the NAR website, and I agree with everything there. Okay, so if you have been compromised, again, time is immediately of the essence. You need to file a complaint with the IC3 guy. Those are the folks that put together that internet crime report. Have that there. We need to contact the local FBI office. I mean, this is really a big deal if you have been compromised. And have that. I mean, there's no time to waste. If money was sent somewhere else, chances are it's gone, but maybe that they'll be able to bring that back, but they need to do investigation. So as soon as you do that, you absolutely time is of the essence there, and have that there. So, and like you need to, and the state law, and again, I'm not a lawyer. This legal advice is worth exactly what you're paying for right here, but you need to contact the Attorney General here. And then from there, every single person whose information was compromised has to be contacted. Financial settlements. So it's really a big deal if this happens, and that's why we want to do everything we possibly can to prevent this from happening. Okay, so general safety tips here. Update everything always, right? Can we talking about that? And unfortunately, the picture on the right, I think that's real life. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't have time today. It's going to take half an hour. It's going to update. It's got my battery's not charged enough. I'm not going to be at a hotspot. I'm going to have that there, but definitely update. You want to stay up there with your updates there. Passwords. Are you using a password manager? There are a lot of really great free ones. This is something, again, I do a startup talk a lot for folks that just want to learn about how to use a free password manager. Because if you use the same password at multiple sites And people tell me, you know what, Matt, there's no way anybody's going to guess it because it's my first dog's middle name. It's the phone number from when I grew up. It's the last 4 digits of my great auntie's cell phone number. And it's got my Hawaiian name, which is 45 characters. And I've got, commas in there and have that. No one's ever going to guess that. Well, that might be true. But the problem is if I use that at 18 different sites and one of those sites gets compromised, that password to all my sites is now compromised. They're going to get my information. They're going to know my email address, and then they'll try Gmail. They will try LinkedIn. They're going to try Facebook. They're going to try Instagram. They're going to try Snapchat. They're going to try all the sites out there, and they'll do this within a second and know, oh, well, I got a gold mine here. The same password is everywhere. So even though I use that same password, and it is complex, it's not safe. So that's where we use a password manager. And passwords, I know they are like seatbelts. They're a pain in the ocole. Oh my goodness, it's not long enough. I can't use the one I did before because it remembers the history. And I got to have an exclamation point. I feel you. I feel the same angst every time. I have to go change. Oh, I got to change it every 6 months. I just remembered my old one. I feel you. I hear you. But unfortunately, this is part of the world, this connected world that we live in. This internet, this has brought a lot of great things to the world, and this unfortunately is one of the bad things. So and if you just search free password managers, there are a lot of very great ones out there. Password storage. I'm sure you folks, if you've been in Hawaii for a short time at least, you'll remember we had the North Korean nuclear attack that came from civil defense that one, I think it was a Sunday morning, I think. So afterwards, civil defense needed some good PR. And so they brought the news in there and photographers. So they had all the PR people, all the safety people, and they staged this picture here to show how great it is, and civil defense. The news was there, and you think, okay, what's the big deal with this picture? Okay, this is how good they are. Within minutes of this picture being put on the web, somebody figured this out. In that little sticky note, under that is the password. Warning point 2 was right there. So, and again, these are professionals. They are PR people, security people. They staged this photo, but you never know. You never know. So this is an example of what not to do to have that there. And people just do this. I don't know if it's entertainment for them, but within minutes this is already out on the web that this is the password, to that computer there. And I'm sure there was a lesson learned. I hope they've corrected that by now, and have that there. So that's an example of what not to do. Okay, does your broker have a cybersecurity policy? Meaning that, do they train you on data storage? What is the policy on how you store information when you delete information? And this is something, again, and the bad part about this these are not cheap. This is getting a written policy, training policy. It's like doing an employee handbook. If you do it right, it takes time. It takes more time than money, and time is money. So you have that there. But if your broker doesn't have a cybersecurity policy, I really think that's going to be a competitive advantage used against you in now and in the coming years. It's like the realtors that refused to use email, that wanted to use faxes and have that. It was a huge competitive advantages. The ones that took advantage of the internet and websites and have that. But then they'll ask, can I see your cybersecurity policy? Because the buyers are being educated, and if the answer is we don't really have a formal one, that's going to be a bad tick against you when they're doing a broker comparison. So encourage your broker, and again, that's something that we help people design and do to establish a written cybersecurity policy there. Insist on 2-factor authentication. Anything that involves client information. your email, anything with that you connect. And two-factor authentication is whenever you log in, it's either going to email you something, it is going to text you something, it might call you. So whenever I log into my PayPal account, it texts me a code. So even if someone got my password somehow, when they go to log in, they need my phone. They need to be able to unlock my phone to be able to get my security code. So that's what we call two-factor. You need the password and you need some other information. And the other information is not static. It's always changing. Meaning if I was to log into my PayPal account again, I would get a new code. I logged in again, I get a new code. So it's always constantly changing. Or you might, there are applications you can put on your phone that when you do that, the code changes every 30 seconds to a new code. So we do not sign up for a service that does not have two-factor authentication. And you can think of it like you've got your doorknob lock and you got your deadbolt, right? This is the deadbolt. This is the second factor of authentication. Not only do people have to have the key for the doorknob, but they have to have the key for the deadbolt as well. So two-factor authentication is huge. And if you can just log in with your email, maybe your account number and your password, you don't have two-factor authentication. Again, I'm happy to talk to anybody about that. Whether you use Google Workspace, the old G Suite, or Office 365, it can be enabled. It's free. It doesn't cost any money, and just adds that extra layer of security for that. The two-factor authentication, have that there. Okay, so we're wrapping up here. So this is how it normally works. Okay, you as a real estate agent, you click on a link and install some malware. The hacker then can, using that malware, take over your email account. And again, this is from your email account. So this is not like they're spoofing you. This is from your email account. They write an email to the home buyer saying, "Oh my goodness, we need you to send your money to this bank," or might say that the wire instructions are changed, so go ahead and send it there. And then that money gets sent to the hacker, and then we've got a problem. The $400,000, the $200,000, the $20, whatever was sent is probably gone. Again, that's when we call the FBI and we do all those things, Attorney General and do that. But nobody wants to take that call from the home buyer that says, "Okay, I just wired the down payment to the bank. What's the next step?" And you're saying, "My goodness, I don't know what happened," right? So there are 3 levels where this could have been stopped, and any one of them would have worked. Okay, number 1, you are that last line of defense. Don't click that link. We're not gonna give that information. So again, that's step 1. You as the individual not doing that. Step 2, just because the hacker got your information, if they had two-factor authentication, well, 1, they wouldn't be able to get in because you're going to get a text on your phone that says, "Hey, you know what? Somebody just tried to log into your account. Here is that code." Well, you're going to get that code and you're instantly going to go in and you're going to change your password. So that's the second place it could have been stopped. The third place it could have been stopped is the home buyer. We've educated them to know that I will never, ever send you an email with wire funds, with where to wire funds. So if any one of those places, you didn't install the malware, you didn't click the link, the hacker couldn't log in, or the home buyer not smart enough, has been educated. We've got to be smart enough to educate them, right? Because again, they're the client there, so that, you know what? Let me call Matt. I just got this email, but he told me specifically he would never do this. So let me make sure this is legitimate. Any place on the line that this could have been stopped. So it's great if we could just do one of them, but we want all 3 to be the stopping points for this fraud. Okay. Cyber insurance. A lot of people, a lot of business owners, and I know as a realtor, you're all a business owner there. You think, "Oh, I have general liability. That's going to cover me if something happens with fraud and cyber." It will not. It absolutely will not cover you. So just when this is POW, when you have some time, just search NAR in cyber. This is right from the NAR site. They're advertising their own cyber insurance policy there, and have that. So does your broker have that? Do you have that? Is that part of your cyber policy? The cyber policy might be that each individual agent has to have cyber insurance, that the broker is going to carry cyber insurance there. And that is going to be huge, going forward, having that, because, a lot of people have that. Well, I have general liability. Anything I do is going to have that. And it's not true. It's not true. Again, I don't sell insurance. I have no affiliation with any insurance company, but we have cyber insurance, and and the kind of things that we do and have that. So I seriously can encourage you to just search NAR and NAR cyber. Just type it like NAR, like NAR, and then space cyber. And on the NAR website, you'll see that come up. That'll probably be the first link for everybody, and have that there. But that's a serious conversation you need to have with your broker about cyber insurance, because it's just like you have car insurance for your car, house insurance. Cyber insurance is just another thing that needs to happen, and have that there. Okay, so now we have something that we do for realtors here is, I saw some questions like Q&A. How do we know if an update is legitimate, and have that there? So what we do, again, we don't charge for this, is we install an agent on your computers, Mac and Windows, and the agent will automatically install the Windows updates and have that there. And when you see it there, and the Mac, the little red cross is up at the top, and the Windows red cross is down there at the bottom, down by the clock in the system tray. And what can happen there? So that's complimentary. But if you ever needed our help, you just click on the red cross, you go to the support portal, and then you could put your information in there. You might have a request, and you see there's a little button there. I'm getting this error, so you can include an image of the screen automatically. We'll do a ticket there, and then we'd be more. We call you, talk about it, and it might be something that costs, or it might be something we can help you with for free. So again, there's no charge to have that there on your computer. And in addition, you get this hardware lifecycle report. It would be sent to if an entire brokerage did it, would go to the broker, and then it keeps track of we got 15 overdue computers. Might be that their stuff expired, or we have that, so we can tell what's in service, what's not in maintenance, and we kind of get that. So it automatically collects this data and then emails report there to the broker to let them know, okay, we got these Inspirons, we got this other thing, this MacBook that is out of hardware lifecycle there. So really great. I encourage you all to take advantage of that. I'll go ahead and in the chat, I'll put my info here, my email, comtlhi.com. Yeah, absolutely. Shoot me an email. Here's my phone number. Give me a call. Again, I do a lot of phishing talks, password talks. I do those for free. And the way that I look at it is, if there were, some women being attacked, and I was qualified to give physical self-defense lessons, which I'm not qualified in that, I would, people give those for free. I'm not qualified to give physical self-defense, but I am qualified to give cyber physical or cyber self-defense classes for that. So I'm more than happy to do that, and I don't charge anything for that. And it's just kind of part of me giving back to the community. It's us against the bad folks, and we just need to do all that we can for that. So again, mahalo, thank you for your time. I hope you got a few things that you can you can take back, but from the two-factor authentication to inventorying what you have, what data you have on your device that you don't need anymore, and talking to your broker, or if you are a broker, talking about just having a written formal cyber policy and looking at that cyber insurance. So thank you very, very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. That was a lot of good information. I hope all of you guys found some great takeaways. We're going to jump in now to the questions section. So I've seen a lot of your guys' questions, so we're going to go ahead and ask those now. one of the questions when you were going over the crime types that can occur and those costs, what types of crimes are those that are in that number?
It was about there's a formal. I can kind of go back to that. Yeah, there's a formal. Let me go back here. There's a formal, but most of them is wire fraud. There's a little bit in there that is for rentals, but of the $213 million, that was wire fraud. That's a huge issue, and that's why the NAR is recommending you put that wire fraud disclosure in every email you send. There's a little bit rentals, like I sent you $2,000, and as you can imagine, with all of the case here right now, the people that do the vacation rentals, but yeah, that kind of, I paid my $50, my $500 for your house for the weekend, and it didn't happen. So that's a little bit of it, but the vast majority of that is wire fraud. That, just like that one example I had there, where it shows, somebody's email getting compromised and then it being sent out. So wire fraud is number one, is huge, and the entry point can be one of many. Your email account, your Facebook account, they can contact your clients any number of ways. So you can't just, it's like I lock down my front door with 15 locks, but I've got a carport and the door from my carport to my house is wide open, right? I just can't fortify one part of my communication, have the rest wide open. I've got to do the other part. So the BAC and EAC, that's business compromise. Like that's email. And if you're curious at all, again, if you just go to, if you just search FBI Cyber Report 2020, it's right there, free to download, and have that there.
Awesome. There were a few questions about what is considered public Wi-Fi. I would imagine hotel Wi-Fi is public Wi-Fi. Would that be a correct statement?
It is, yeah. And the more controlled, I mean, there's a spectrum of public Wi-Fi, right? You've got of Wi-Fi. You've got the Wi-Fi in your house, which is probably as locked down as possible. And then you've got, hey, I parked my car, I turn on my Wi-Fi, and I'm looking for access points, right? That's the ultimate definition of public Wi-Fi. I would put hotel more on the safer side than, say, a Starbucks, where there's a lot of other people around. Somebody could be in their car. I could be in my car and, again, blocking the Starbucks Wi-Fi. I'm not even in the store, and getting all of your data. In hotel, I would say that is on the safer side of public Wi-Fi, much more controlled. They have that there. But yeah, hotel Wi-Fi, anything where you personally don't know the person, whether again you're at a friend's house, you're at your house, you're at your corporate office, that is certainly the safest. Or you're hotspotting off of your phone. You have your phone. Then I connect my laptop to my phone goes out to the web. Those are all the safest. But like I would never use a Starbucks. But the general rule of thumb is the more controlled the environment, the safer it is. Much like when you're walking down the street. If it's a dark alley, very little, you can't control little things, right? I mean, there could be someone in the corner behind the dumpster, but a well-lit open alley, you can feel safe. It might not be safe, but you can feel safer about that. So the more control you have that you think they have, the safer.
Okay, and then funny you mentioned Starbucks. There was a question that asked, if you're connected to the Wi-Fi via your phone or your laptop, say at a Starbucks, but you're not using it, I'm guessing hackers can still get into your device, correct? It doesn't have to be on and being in use in order to be able to hack in. Is that correct?
And that's the hard part, is that even if your phone, the screen is turned off, sitting down next to you, it's still communicating with the world, right? And usually phones are, by default, they're programmed that if I'm connected to a Wi-Fi, use the Wi-Fi data and not the cellular data. It's not going to use my cell phone data and have that. So my Facebook is always checking in, right? Because that's how I can still get notifications when it's still connected to Facebook. It's still connected to email. It's, hey, do I have any new emails? There's push and there's polling. So even though you're not using your phone, anything you're doing is being sent over the Wi-Fi there. So your Instagram, your Snapchat, all the things you're doing there, even though you're not actively doing them, it's still communicating, and they can be. It's a weird term called man in the middle, where it's sent to them, they look at it, then they send it on. So as far as everything's happening fine, but they're looking at everything as it traverses from your phone to them, to Facebook, to email. They're being able to decrypt and look at all of those things. So yeah, so even though you're not using it, you're still communicating, and your phone is talking to all those places.
Okay. And then
Good question,
another question that was asked was regarding updates. I know you said make sure you update your computer all the time, but I did see a few questions just asking, how do you know if it's an authentic update from the application itself and not mimicked by a hacker?
And that's huge. And every application that you're probably working with has got a formal update policy. Meaning, and I say policy, meaning a procedure. If you like your Windows or iOS, if I go to, let me just, if I go to Windows and I hit the start button and type update, that will take me to the proper place where I can check if it's a real update. Because any Word update, any Excel update, any Windows update, any update to my Adobe, anything like that is going to be in that Windows. And I never just click a link that says, do you want to update this? And
So
if
in
it's
other
real,
words, if it's in an email, it might not be necessarily authentic, right?
99.9%
it should
of the
come
time,
from the app itself.
99.9% of the time, it's fake. Yeah. Or in Mac OS, just click the little the spotlight, the little hourglass, or not hourglass, but magnifying glass, and type update, and then it will go ahead and do that. And so again, it will take you to the formal update, and all of the major apps you have there, the updates will be there. And if you have any questions, call a professional.
Okay.
It's certainly worth the money, to go ahead and do that.
And then we did have a few
That's
questions. Okay, thank you. We did have a few questions regarding password managers. Can you maybe recommend maybe two, or like maybe your top one that you would recommend to people as the best password manager for them to use?
So I'll give two. One is paid and one is free. I use a free one. The one that I use is called, well, I'll do that here. The paid one is called 1Password, and the one that I use that's free is called BitVault. is something here. Let me just kind of show you here what that list. So 1Password is fabulous. That's really great. If you are, so let me, if I go here to the screen here, so when I go to log in, Bitwarden. So when I go to click that link, I've got to put in my master password. Hope no one's a lip reader, because I hope I'm not saying my master password here. Okay, so then I have that there. So if I look in my vault, here are all my logins that I have for all the different websites. So when I go to a site, I just click this little link here. Like if I go to, say, office.com, and I might already, and I go to sign in, it's going to tell me, whoops, that I click sign in, and it will then pop up. It tells me I have got a login for this site. And then again, even after I do that, I've got to put in my two-factor authentication. It's going to text me with a call there. So the other thing we use that for is when I have to put in a password, I go right to the generator and I say, okay, I want 5 words. I want to capitalize, includes a number. And then it gives me these passwords just right there. I just copy the password, put it in there, and then it can automatically save it for there. So this is good. This is what I use personally, because it's great for an individual, but 1Password is great for a team. It's very economical, but let's say we might have, I want to put the password in for the alarm security system to unlock, the alarm when you go into the office after hours. I can share that with 1Password with a group, and then I can lock people out. I could say, I'll share this with you for a lot of those. So yeah, so definitely those are, so the one that I use, again, I already forgot the name of it. Anybody else remember the name? It was Bitwarden, kind of BIT Warden, and they have some paid options as well. The free version is excuse me, it's a stutter, Bitwarden there. But for our corporate, we use 1Password. But for individuals, again, and again, that's another example. I separate my personal passwords from my work passwords. I do not want to have, because we have passwords to people's servers, and that doesn't intermingle at all with my personal data there. So I use two, Bitwarden and 1Password.
Awesome. Okay, guys, we are quickly running out of time, so I'm just going to ask a few more questions. I apologize if I don't get to yours, but you can always reach out to our client care team or Matt, and then maybe, Matt, we can set something else up in the future.
And again, password management, I've got a 30-minute talk that I do on that. And it's so important how people can follow along and kind of set it up as I'm doing it. So that's really a huge thing. So I just put my email address in there in the chat, and I put my direct phone number there in the chat. So hopefully everyone's able to see that.
Matt,
I think
resend it to the attendees who didn't get
I'm
it.
sorry.
Yeah.
I sent it to Jen's a
no
special
worries.
one.
It's okay. We'll get that in the chat for you. The next question, and I'm guessing the answer is they would be able to see it when an email or when a hacker hacks an agent's email. If they send it from that person's email, they should be able to see it in their sent folder, correct? Unless the hacker deletes
will
it.
Delete it immediately. Will delete it from their sent items. So and then they'll delete it out of the deleted items as well. That's kind of step 1, 2, 3. So and have that. But yeah, if they don't do it, it will be in the deleted items or the sent items. But they'll first and again, the first part, if they hack you, they're not going to send an email immediately. The first thing they're going to do is download every bit of information you have in there. Download your inbox, your sent. They want to know, who are you talking to? Who are you actively talking to? And like we go to, if someone has you compromised, you're not going to find out immediately. They're going to go to one of your open houses as a stranger, take a picture of everyone that signed in at the open house. Okay, these are high priority targets. These are people active that they could maybe talk to you about. So again, these are very sophisticated people. So it would be in your sent items, but again, they will delete it once they start to engage. It will be deleted out of your deleted items and out of your sent items.
What about banking apps and wire fraud?
Yeah, so banking app, whenever the number one advice I give you on a banking app is there's a lot of them have a mobile application now that you're able to have there. Like I have one for my bank account there, is make sure you're using their applications. There are some apps where you can have a generic app and put in information for 3 or 4 bank accounts, and it will go and connect to all of them. And there is some value that you have one view for all of your things in one place. But again, if now we get one app gets hacked, all your money is gone. All these different bank accounts you have there. So make sure you use you Bank of America, use Bank of America. First Hawaiian Bank, every major bank that you're going to deal with is going to have their own application. And when you log into their website, again, if I get an email from a bank or from any financial institution, I don't click the link in the email. Again, this is part of the phishing training. I don't click the link in the email. I will open up my browser. I will type in myself. So again, remember the R and the N make the M. I might see, bankofamerica.com. I click it, but it's not the M in America is actually an RN. It goes to a hacker site. I put in my information, and then I get a screen that says, "Oh, don't worry, our site's down for right now." I say, "No problem. I'll log in later." But now they've got my information, and they're going to use that information to log into the real Bank of America account and take all my money. So make sure you type in the address, the URL yourself, and make sure that you use the single application from the bank that you're dealing with.
Awesome. How can you ensure your info is encrypted on your phone?
That is a setting that we have there. If you were to search, encryption, like iPhone encryption or Android encryption, you go into your settings and the privacy settings. There's a setting there where you put in a separate password from your login password where you can do that. It takes about 10 minutes because it goes through and encrypts all of your data. Now, bad news is if you lose your encryption password, your phone is literally useless. That's kind of the whole point, that if no one knows it, have that. So, but it's just that second layer of authentication. So whether you're iPhone or Android, it's very easy to get there, probably 4 or 5 steps from the main menu. But if you just go to iPhone encryption, you can go to the Apple site or maybe, and even like that's a great time if you need a checkup. iPhone, you can go see a Genius, and down at, I think there's Kahala, Ala Moana. I think there's even one in Waikiki and a Genius store where you can go and say, I need help locking down my iPhone. I want to disable face recognition. I want to disable Touch ID. I want encryption. I want this, and they'll kind of walk you through. And we didn't even talk to somebody. There's a lot of general phone, like, do you have location? Do you have your GPS on all the time? That a lot of people turn it off because they don't want to be tracked, and have that there. So there are a lot of things just with the phone you can do to harden your phone, kind of separate from what we're talking about today. But as a rule, you don't want the default settings. But yeah, encryption is something that could happen.
What's the best way to secure cloud data accessed from a personal device?
Yeah.
Is that something that's with encryption or?
Two-factor authentication, and that's for sure a must. If you have any cloud account, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, they all now have ways to get that two-factor authentication. If you're logging in from a different browser or different location, it should ask you a question. It should challenge you. Are you really Jen Sakamoto? Tell me this. And back in the day, it would be, okay, Jen, tell me your first pet, tell me where you were born, and tell me your favorite badminton player. So that, they'll ask you one of those questions. Well, now, again, those can get hacked just as easy as the password does. So now that's when they'll text you something real time. They'll send another email to a different email address, your secondary email address. So for sure, you can't control the cloud and how they do their security. Microsoft gets breached, Google gets breached, but what you can control, what you should control, is what it takes to log in to that account. Make sure you have that two-factor authentication. So even if they get your password, they're not going to be able to get access to your accounts. So for any information where client data is stored, you should demand two-factor authentication, because I know we care about our clients. It's not about us. It's about our clients and protecting. You would not just leave wire instructions and bank information. I pick on Starbucks, but it's anywhere at Teddy's Bigger Burgers. I wouldn't just leave it there on the table, right? And have it there. But we electronically, a lot of us do that. We just leave it right there for the next person to walk up and see. Oh, look, here's Jen's home address. Here's Jen's phone number. Here's Jen's spouse's social security number, and have that there. So that two-factor authentication is really huge.
Okay. And then I know we had talked about with public Wi-Fi, right? Maybe not using that and using your mobile device as a hotspot. With that being said, would you say having an unlimited data plan would be best so that you don't have to worry about data overages?
Yeah, every person is different. I have an unlimited plan on mine. If you do, I know realtors that very rarely leave the office except to go to open house. They don't do a lot of showings and drive folks around for that. And I know some that never go in the office. So if you have any question, you can get a kind of plan, and then that can ratchet up and down. So you pick your best guess. If you're a heavy user, you maybe go with the unlimited plan, and then you can ask them, after 2 months, how much data did I use? And then you only used, 3 gigabytes. Well, then you say, okay, let me ratchet that down to the 5 gig plan there. And then you could kind of track, kind of like, back in the day, we had, you bought so many minutes. I don't know if anybody's old enough to remember that. You bought so many minutes on your cell phone. And then how many minutes you bought was individual based on how much you talked. So you kind of got to track that. And then, as your data use increases, your data, you up your plan, but luckily prices go down when the plans go up, just because it was using more and more data with 5G. But that's certainly a consideration to ask, to figure out where we have. So maybe start with the unlimited. If it's not too cost prohibitive, start with the unlimited plan and then just track that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. There was a question about is Microsoft requesting annual change of password? There was a pop-up recently that appeared and looked authentic. I think what Matt was saying earlier is if it's coming directly from that bottom right corner where it says like an update, unless it's there, it's likely not authentic. Is that a correct statement?
Yeah, and if you're ever, better be safe than sorry. If you ever get anything pop up, it looks legitimate, go directly. Like if your Amazon site says, oh, your Amazon account is going to be canceled. Okay, if it's legitimate, just log into your Amazon account. Don't use the links in their email. Log directly into Amazon, or if it's a Microsoft site, go to office.com or outlook.com, wherever you go. If it is legitimate, while you're logging in, they will force you to change it at that point. So you really don't have to, we want to take the guesswork. God, is there an RN that makes an M in Microsoft there? Or is it legitimate? Is it not? Just say, okay, they say I do. Let me go to outlook.com and then log in. And if it is legitimate, they will prompt you right then to change it. If it's not, you'll just continue to log in and have that. So my is better be safe than sorry. I'm going to drive defensively. I'm going to let that person come, even though I stopped before them. They look kind of in a hurry. I'm not going to challenge them at the 4-way stop. But yeah, better safe than sorry.
All right. So thank you again. Thank you so much, Matt, for taking the time to speak to everybody. I think the last question that was asked was just regarding the app that you had shared, the update one that I think is your app.
No,
people are just asking.
Yeah, it's not our app, but it's something that we provide and manage. Yeah.
Okay. People are asking how they can get that free installation of that Red Cross icon. Yeah,
shoot me an email and we can certainly talk about it, and figure out. I mean, it's a real easy install, but it's there's probably other things we could do as well. So definitely shoot me an email, mdarnell@comtelhigh.com, and it might be something that we talk to the broker and everybody would go ahead and put that there. And so it's part of our package that we have for realtors. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for staying on extra to answer those final questions.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to hear.
So we're going to go ahead and end today's session. Thank you all so much for attending. We will work to see about getting something else set up, but thank you again, Matt. And for the rest of you guys, hopefully we see you tomorrow for our final session. And, we'll be doing our final door prize and our grand prize giveaway. So if you have attended all 3 sessions, your name is going to be in there 3 times to be chosen. So hopefully we see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.
Aloha. See you guys later.